What's going on, football fans? Tyler Terrence, Devin Kerr, glad to have you with us for the first ever edition of SCL Recap. And what a beautiful time to be a fan of the beautiful game, especially within our beloved region. We have SCL Final Leg number 2 right around the corner. We got Concacaf Champions League after the turn of the calendar year. What else could you want?
Your bag of popcorn over there?
Yeah, I got
nice
you.
Little beer next to me and have a little fun with it. Yeah, I thought we were treated to a really nice game in the opening 90 minutes, but you know, second leg is going to be a bit different. My biggest concern is Motagua, only 1 win in their last 4. Saprissa starting to fire on all cylinders. It's going to be an interesting second leg.
Well, we'll take a look at how the first leg went down at Estadio Ricardo Saprissa Ima in front of a raucous crowd in San Jose, Costa Rica. Saprissa coming off of that incredible semifinal win where they scored 3 goals in the last 20 minutes to overcome a 3-goal deficit on the aggregate. And Devin, when you take a look at this Saprissa side and what they've been able to accomplish over the past couple of weeks, it was no surprise that they came out guns firing in the first 45 minutes or so.
Think about the energy. Opening 20, 25 minutes, it was just high tempo, chance after chance pushing into the final third, and that man Venegas once again finding the back of the net. You've seen the name before, you're going to hear it again. They created a lot of opportunities for themselves, but I was a bit concerned that they were only able to put 1 away.
Yeah, they had a number of chances, and Venegas getting his 7th goal, and it's really been Johan Venegas and Marvin Angulo over the past couple of rounds, but Motagua would have a couple of isolated incidents in where they really threatened, and a goal at this point in the game would have been huge. They wouldn't get it. We'd head to halftime 1-0 in favor of Saprissa, and then again, Saprissa first 10 minutes of the second half, same story.
Same life, high tempo again, pushing the pace. Everything was about energy for them, and they created a lot of chances. Almost too many because they only had 1 to show for it, and then that was concerning for me. The chances that came via Motagua were all from set-piece opportunities. Long throw from the sidelines, distribution in, but notice, late runner, there's only 1 runner. How many times did we see when they got into the box, it was a one-off type deal where one person making that last-ditch effort, but there were so many defenders for Saprissa. I was concerned at their inability to create from the run of play, but I thought they did a good job for the most part. They just need to put a little bit of closure on the tail end of that.
Ramirez denied by Rougier. Let's hear from Rougier as well as the goal scorer, Venegas.
1-0 es una victoria ya en ventaja al siguiente partido, pero no suficiente como para decir que Saprissa tiene control de la serie.
Buenas noches, primero que todo agradecerle a Dios por el partido que realizamos hoy, por la victoria, un partido que controlamos creo de principio a fin hasta después de la expulsión y que se nos lesiona Jaylon. A partir de ahí ellos ya tuvieron un poco más nos ocasionaron un poco más de peligro, pero bueno, creo que hicimos los méritos suficientes para ganar. Obviamente queríamos más goles, sabemos de que jugar en Honduras es difícil, pero igual la moneda está en el aire para cualquiera de los dos y nosotros vamos a luchar, ser valientes y ir a apostar por nuestra idea allá.
El partido de vuelta, ya hoy los dos demostraron lo que tiene cada equipo, cómo jugar el partido de vuelta sabiendo que tienen un marcador adverso.
Sí, bueno, nosotros seguramente vamos a proponer otra cosa. El equipo va a jugar distinto porque, bueno, venimos a una cancha que no conocíamos, que la grama es muy distinta a la nacional y también nosotros nos sentimos más cómodos en nuestra cancha, con nuestra gente, como ellos se han sentido cómodos aquí seguramente, entonces a partir de hoy ya pensar un poquito en el partido de vuelta y creo que volver a las raíces que tenemos, que es de buen fútbol, que hoy por momentos mostramos y por momentos no.
Muchas gracias.
No, a vos.
Well, certainly a lot to digest from Jonathan Rougier, the Argentinian keeper who made a huge save right at the end to keep it a 1-0 game. Johan Venegas, you know, relatively generic answer at the end of that game. You know, they felt like they did enough to win. They did enough to win. Why were they able to get this result?
Everything was just about energy for them, right? You know, their ability to really translate what they wanted to do. Tempo, created a lot of opportunities for themselves. I am concerned, though. I'm concerned because it's 1 goal. And Motagua has been great at home. They've been able to push opponents to the side. Not a lot of wins, but only 1 goal in the back of the net. So how can they now dictate their own terms? That was one of the biggest issues for Motagua is great center midfielder play, but that didn't translate into anything, did it? We talked about the isolated situations when you got into free kicks and set pieces from the side, corners, whatever, but they have nothing to show for it. So now that you're at home, it's been great that you're unbeaten there, but you're going to have to do a lot more versus a Saprissa team that's pretty much on point right now.
And this is a Motagua side that has really struggled to score from run of play. I mean, the leading goal scorers in this competition right now are their 2 center backs between Pereira as well as Juan Pablo Montes. Matias Galvaliz, he's assisting, but he's not necessarily scoring. What's the biggest thing that needs to happen for you if Motagua is going to avoid watching the opposition hoist this trophy for a 2nd year in a row?
Going to go at both the outside backs. You have to realize that Salinas gets taken off. He's got the double yellow in the 75th minute, so they already have to fill that spot. And personally, I was not impressed with Ricardo Blanco. I thought he was flat-footed, slow, wasn't quick in transition. There were some good looks on that side. They just didn't feed it enough. And that's kind of when you get into a situation, Kevin Lopez Kevin Lopez, a guy that scored in 25, 30% of his games, why aren't you feeding him a bit more? 150-29 in all comps. Have some confidence. Run at this guy. You know, he's proven that over the course of 90 minutes, he is vulnerable. Now you're at home. Now they have to come into the belly of the beast and find a way to take you down, and there's no road goals either. So just start pushing the pace. Take what Saprissa did to you in the first leg and throw it right back at him in the second.
Saprissa have been toying with a 3-back, with a 4-back, now with a double yellow for Salinas. What do you see them trying to accomplish on the road in the second leg of a final?
Hope, prayer, just to be able to get through this. I mean, they have to find a way to weather the storm. And again, Motagua hasn't pushed a lot of numbers into the back of that, the defensive shape. And that's where my concern comes from is you created so many chances in the first leg, you only have 1 goal to show for it. It was pretty, but it was at home. And now you're on the road, you're making adjustments. The good news is their run of form throughout every single game that they've played in the last 4 games has been absolutely brilliant. But a final is different. A second leg of a final is a whole nother animal. Be interested to see how they respond.
Well, certainly going to be an animal that we're going to watch with close attention as we are getting set for the second leg of that final. But when we come back from the break, we're going to have all sorts to talk about regarding Champions League and the 16 teams that are set in stone. We'll be back after the break. Don't go anywhere.
In 2017, we introduced the Scotiabank Concacaf League, setting the stage for a wider participation from Caribbean and Central American clubs. After 2 thrilling editions, packed stadiums, and hard-fought matches, we are proud to announce an expansion. For 2019 and beyond, the tournament will expand to 22 clubs, giving more clubs access to top-quality football, raising the quality of our game. The original 16 clubs will be joined by a Canadian Premier League club and the top 5 seeded Central American clubs, who in previous editions qualified for the Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League. The 3rd edition of the competition will kick off in July with a preliminary round. 12 clubs will battle in a home and away series, the winners advancing to the round of 16. The expanded competition will quickly develop, with the round of 16 in August, quarterfinals in September, semifinals in October, and finals in November. After 42 exciting matches, 6 clubs will qualify to the Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League, but only one will be crowned champion. CONCACAF, love for our game.
Welcome back into the SCL Recap. Tyler Terrence along with Devin Kerr. We just wanted to give you a decent idea in terms of what Scotiabank Concacaf League is going to mean moving forward heading into Champions League. And while it might be a bit more difficult for some of the champions from Costa Rican and Central American teams to get into Champions League and have to go through the gauntlet that is Concacaf League, it does make for some really good football and some really entertaining matches. And just like the video said, it is going to help to grow our game in the Confederation. But Devin, I want to ask you this question, because it's something that's on my mind a lot, and especially with this new format and having Pot 1 and Pot 2, is there any team in your mind that could make some noise in the round of 16 in Champions League, or is there just nobody that can handle that and handle maybe the budget and the resources that some of the teams in Pot 1 have?
I'll tell you right now, I am most intrigued by LAFC and Seattle, and here's why. Seattle just won the MLS Cup. They took it down, they beat Toronto, and we'll get to Toronto in a minute, but some of the comments coming out of that club when they finished wasn't necessarily about their celebration. It was about there was more. They wanted to be more involved in competitions like US Open Cup. They wanted to be involved in CONCACAF Champions League. This is their chance. Now is your opportunity to show the world what you're capable of, and specifically the noisy neighbors down south. I love that terminology that you use, because Modern day, Mexico reigns supreme. Liga MX has always beaten the American teams, Canadian teams, they can't get involved. And how about our friends like Portmore United coming out of the Caribbean zone? This is your chance to go. But LAFC and Seattle, they have the style to get it done. I think that their roster has the compilation to get it done. And knowing Brian Schmetzer and Bob Bradley and what they're capable of, they will add depth in their offseason, quote unquote, because they got to get started right away. They'll turn this around and they are going to come back bigger and stronger. They can make a run at this thing.
Let's talk about Canada for a second, because we have our 4 bids from Major League Soccer. We have our 1 bid from the Canadian Championship. And basically every single year, everybody expects Toronto, especially given the talent that they have on the roster, to be involved. They lose in the Canadian Championship. They lose in MLS Cup final. They're not in this tournament. Why?
Injuries. Plain and simple, injuries. And this was something that, witnessing them firsthand, I saw them in Decision Day when they took on Columbus Crew. I wasn't impressed whatsoever. Now, Josie Altidore goes out. You don't have your number 9 up top. But that's the mark of a great team, to be able to get through competitions like this. That's the depth we talked about. You need someone else to step up and score goals for you. And they don't have that. And they have an aging Michael Bradley controlling their midfield. They have a team that has a lot of talent, but I don't think they had the ability to navigate all of those troubled waters. To be fair, look at when they were healthy just a few years ago. Everybody thought they were going to make that beautiful run, and they came off very successful seasons in multiple competitions and then fell flat on their face. And that was something you saw similar this year. Actually quite impressed that they made it as far as they did in the MLS Cup, getting all the way to the final. But they were just beat up. They had no shot. And, kudos, tip of the hat, very well played. But it takes a lot more than that to get it done in a competition like this.
Well, let's talk about the teams that are going to be involved in this year's 2020 Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League, specifically in Major League Soccer. And I want to make one thing very, very clear. And it was a conversation that we had with Peter Vernies last year when Sporting Kansas City was making a little bit of a run. And there's a lot of people, especially since MLS Cup just happened, that are really enamored with these specifically American sides and even Montreal Impact and these Canadian sides. If you are still going to have a type of market where there's a salary cap and there's only a few players that you can pay the money that they deserve, and you're trying to go up against the likes of a Liga MX and Club America, who's the most resourceful club in this confederation, in my eyes, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen, because your hands are tied behind your back from a financial standpoint. And we asked Peter Vermees, what's the difference between Liga MX and MLS from a tactical standpoint? He said money.
Money.
It's money. It has to be money. For you, is there any chance for an MLS team in the modern era, for them, if they're going to have a closed market and a salary cap, for them to try to win this competition?
The immediate answer is yes, and here's why. We've seen teams get that close. I mean, you just referenced Sporting Kansas City and what they were able to do. We've seen them get that close, so bouncing the ball this way, maybe things go a bit more in their direction.
Penalty kicks against Toronto.
Exactly. So you've seen a team get there, just haven't been able to close it out. Now, if you want to talk long-term and what these teams have been able to do, no. That's where the money comes into play. I love the conversation you and I have. We're sitting and say, listen, how can an American team go and win this thing? We joke that a USL team who has no restrictions on their budget whatsoever, now the level is nowhere near what you need it to be, but you have no restriction on your budget. Go buy anybody you want. Go win this thing. Get in through the Open Cup and go win this thing.
It's that easy, right?
Yep.
Just get into the Open Cup.
Put me in charge and you'll be fine. That's all I'm saying.
Devin is open for general manager positions. If you want to contact him, we can give you his info later on. But we're going to step aside. When we come back, we're going to go toe-to-toe. And I'm not talking about on the pitch. We're going toe-to-toe right here in the CONCACAF studios. And we're going to take a look at some of the best goals and saves from around CONCACAF League. And I guarantee you, my picks are better than his. Stay with us. Welcome back into the SCL Recap. Tyler Terrence along with Devin Kerr. We promised you we were going to have a matchup for the ages, and it's Tyler v. Devin. It's Devin v. Tyler. There's only going to be one winner, and he's wearing a light blue suit right now. We're going to take a look at some of the best goals and saves from this competition. I'm going to choose 3 goals. You're going to choose 3 goals. We'll do the same thing for the goalkeepers, but I mean, when you look at all the goals of this tournament, it was tough to narrow it down to 3 apiece, but I think we did a decent enough job.
For you.
Why don't you get us started? Well, yeah, for me.
For me, it was easy.
Yeah.
For
Okay.
me, it was easy. It was
Go
simple.
ahead.
Let's start with Edgar Pacheco and what he was able to do. There's going to be a common theme for my goals, and let's see if this guy sitting next to me can figure it out. But how about this? Off the half volley, just a quick little step in, right off the chest, back of the net. You like it? I love it.
I don't mind it. My only thing is, what is the goalkeeper doing? It doesn't go into the corner, it just goes straight over his head. Like, get on your line. Get on your line. For me, that's what negates that goal.
He feels like his team's going to actually step out. They're going to counter. He's waiting for his defensive shape to start to go in transition. They don't do it. He gets the little touch in, and I get it. He's off his line, but still, pretty finish.
All right, now here's a man, he's so good they named a state after him. Colorado Murray unleashes from 25 yards out on the half volley, tailing away from the keeper always against Herediano. Massive goal, massive moment. Beautiful strike. How do we feel?
I didn't realize Herediano's players were paid to just stand still when the ball gets dropped in front of them. I mean, that's pretty simple. As a center back, ball drops in front of you, you get a challenge in, put a body on him, do anything. You're picking goals from the Stone Ages, man. That's easy.
Round
That's
one
easy stuff.
round one goes to me.
Get
Doesn't
outta
matter.
here.
No? What do you got for round number 2?
Round two?
Round two.
Round two,
What
something
do you got?
special. Round 2, let's go with Nahum Peralta and what he was able to do. And oh, by the way, we talked a little bit about this earlier. Who scored the only goal against Motagua? Oh, that's right. This little beauty from distance. Love this. Round of 16, bottom corner. You go flying the other way. Rougier, apologies. Not necessary. Because this is just a brilliant strike. Sends the midfielders, the defenders, everybody has no clue what's going in their direction.
Now, I love team sports, and I love being able to work with you, and it goes back and forth, but sometimes individuals just got to step up. Jorge Benguche, what are you doing to poor Jalen Haddon? I'm going to send you this way. No, I'm going to come back the other way. And hold on a second. I'm just going to tuck this inside the far post. Olympia thought that they had it wrapped up with a bow on it. That was to make it 2-0. They were down a man. I mean, the moment of this goal, the quality, the individual skill, and the finish. My goodness. Jorge Benguche. That's not how you actually pronounce his name, but it was so Gucci that I wanted to see it a few more times.
You love yourself for that one. Just by the way, that does
Yeah.
back up the point a little bit that you have an outside back, Jalen Haddon, that's playing in the middle. Let's move him outside, get him away from situations like that so embarrassment doesn't take place.
All right, so now we're going to go to our number 1 goals for the tournament, and this is really, really tough here to try to decipher this. We'll let you be the judge at home. Devin, what do you got?
Arboleda Marathon, watch this, beautiful. Little touch back up over the shoulder. No, it's not the greatest first touch, but it's improvisation. Love this ball back over the shoulder, and then his ability in the elements, in traffic, to bring this ball and then just put it away in the bottom corner. Night, night, Termite. You have nothing else than this lustrous finish. The theme, by the way, none of my teams made it through. Everybody got knocked out. The only team made it through the round of 16. That was it. This one, they lost 3-2 to Comunicaciones in the prelims.
All right, now hold the phone just a second, okay? Because it's going to look like Santa Tecla don't have anything moving here. But up steps your center back in Flores. Andres just steps up out of nowhere. And hold on a second, you want me to pick out the far corner too? If that doesn't win, I don't know what does. I really don't. The run being made out of the back from nowhere. The opposition doesn't even know what hit them. The goalkeeper's like, I'm not picking that out of the top corner. Somebody else can go get that.
I just think that we need to tape your ability to go look at tape away from you, because even I can go out, put cones in the parking lot, and get a strike like that.
So you're saying the theme for mine is that nobody was defending?
Nobody defended whatsoever. I felt like I was watching me yesterday.
Why defend when you can just score goals? That's what I
more
always
fun.
say. Yeah, it's
This
a lot
game's
more
about fun.
Yeah, yeah, it's a bit sexier.
You're crazy.
All right, so let's take a look at some saves, and there were some goalkeepers who put on some shows throughout this competition. Devin Kerr, what do you got for round number 1?
I got a couple for you, but let's start early on here. Madrigal, watch Marco. Look at this, brilliant reflexes, bottom corner, not once but twice. Yes, he's got a couple people coming his direction, but watch the way that he's separating his legs here. He's already moving to his left, the ability to come back to his right, get low to the ground, and then get up and bring a second time back around. Beautiful save by Marco.
I dig that. I do. I like coming
You're
back
welcome.
across your body. Thank you.
Enjoy it.
I appreciate it. Okay. Shane Orio, Belmont Bandits. Similar, but 2. Second one was better than your second one, if you're still following me. But Shane Orio, who's done it time and time again, that's a great save. That's arrowed for the bottom corner. He says, no, thank you. We don't take that credit card here.
The problem is here that the second save is actually the better one, and the guy barely touches the ball.
You think the second one is better than the first
Absolutely,
one?
because it's on the doorstep. All he has to do is reach his arms out, get full extension. No
What do
big
you-
deal by the goalkeeper.
What are you drinking down here? What do you got underneath here?
It's alkaline water. You want some?
No, I don't want any of that. But I do want to take a look at what's going on in round number 2. Devin.
Let's bring it. Let's run it back-to-back on some beautiful saves. Alexander Mendoza. There's Santa Tecla. You talked about your goal-scoring prowess. Let me show you what the boys on the back line can do, because it's the defensive shape that they're able to keep once the goalkeeper has no clue what's going on in the game. Let me run 20 yards off my line, but oh, by the way, it's okay. Didn't I tell you the key to this game? Defenders, center backs, outside back. If you talk to your boys on the back line, they're always going to push you in a positive direction.
If you're the Santa Tecla head coach, are you really that happy that it got to that point? That's a question that probably can't be answered. But I'll tell you what, Acevedo, okay, from Tauro comes up huge here. Watch this. It comes off the post. Watch the reaction to get back. That is a goal line clearance for the ages. He might have even got it with his face. Take another look at this. I mean, how on earth they don't score this initial one, I'll never know. But his ability to get back, he takes it off the face. It's the vaunted face save. He doesn't even have to use his hands because he says, my face is so pretty that even if you hit it with a soccer ball square on the noggin, square in the beak right here, I don't know if I can say the same for you, but Humberto Acevedo, he can get it done.
That was one of those fun little closures you put as a bonus into your contract. Face save. Face save number 10, I want a bonus. Give it to me.
There you go. All right, best saves of the tournament, hands down. Devin.
We agree. We're friends again.
Oh,
We're friends again.
I hate
this.
that.
Was absolutely obnoxious in the most positive way whatsoever. Look at Garcia. Perfect technique. You young kids at home, just go sit in front of the video, replay it one after another after another. You said, what would I like? I got a bottle of popcorn. I got a bottle of you know what? Everything just sitting next to me to watch this beauty on the back post.
Goes with the right hand coming across here. That's really nice. That's really, really nice. And I'm thinking to myself, how on earth could I top it? Well, I can't. We agreed on the same goal, and this is totally blind. I had no idea. Garcia trying to bet. Awesome saves, awesome goals. I mean, I guess out of 6 highlights, we agreed on 1 for 6. Not the best, I mean, more or less like what you got throughout your elementary school career, but, you know, it's again, it's neither here nor there. But I will tell you what is going to be here is a very special guest. She played for the U.S. Women's National Team. She's going to talk Champions League when we come back. Stay with us.
Concacaf Women's Olympic qualifying champions, the United States.
Welcome back into the SCL Recap. Tyler Terrence along with Devin Kerr. We're going to bring a third panelist in just because I'm getting bored of Devin, and I want to bring in one of my favorite people in the entire world. And it is none other, all the way from Minneapolis, the Twin Cities, former U.S. international Lori Lindsay, although she is fit enough to probably play for Vlatko Ananovsky in the U.S. Women's National Team at this point in time. Lori, have you gotten the call from Vlatko yet?
I have, and I turned it down because I told him I had gigs like this.
Oh.
So,
You're
hi.
too sweet. You got a
Thanks
little
for
brown right there, by the way. I don't know if you can see that there, but
Do you guys,
no.
do you need a minute? I mean, do you guys
Yeah.
need a minute here of what's going on? You're best friends in the entire world. She's sucking
Oh, we are
up.
best friends.
I've been cast
Hi,
aside.
Dad.
Look, I don't mind being the third wheel, but I don't want to fall off the wagon either.
Well, speaking of wheels and wagons and all the sorts of vehicular objects that we can think of, why don't we talk about the Porsche of competitions in Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League? And Lori, there's been a lot of talk about MLS teams and people being enamored with them right now and this group of MLS teams. Is there reason to believe that this is the year that Major League Soccer is finally going to win the modern edition of Champions League?
I think it's tough. I think with the financial model of the MLS, I think it makes it difficult in terms of the depth of the rosters. So yes, in terms of the play and the progression of American soccer and MLS in general, but I think it's always difficult. And so they're not going to be. They're not in my winning category, I should say, in MLS.
They're not
team.
in my winning category. As long as they have this financial structure in place where you're going to have only 3 players that you're going to be able to play upwards of $7 million, and you have teams like Club America and Tigres who are paying 14 players that type of money every single year, it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen for me. But I want to ask Devin this question first, and then Lori, I want to hear your answer. Who's your favorite going into this year's competition?
For me, I'm just going to stick with a team that's been there each and every year. Tigres, 3 of the last 4 finals. I think you take a look at what they've done in their body of work this year, 7-2-8 to start league play, only the 2 losses. And the 2 losses were kind of whatevers to me. Puebla, Chivas, I get it. You shouldn't drop points to the bottom of the barrel team, but they've also gone 2-0-2 against teams that are above them in the table right now. So maybe not necessarily doing the job when they need to against lower division squads in terms of the standings, but they've still picked it up when they needed to be. And also, by the way, they did beat Club America, if I'm not mistaken, in the League Cup semis. So a little bit of a bragging right in that area, and they have the experience. As we mentioned, just storied success within this competition, and now an opportunity to take that final step.
Well, I'm going with Club America. 7 Champions League titles. They're historically one of the best. Financial support. So Tigres is a good one, but it's Club America for me.
Have you watched them play recently, just out of curiosity? Have you seen who they've been losing to, Lori? Now, I know you and I both respect these squads, but have we looked at Club America and how, yeah, they've moved their way up the table and they've got some nice wins, but everybody that sitting above them, they've all lost to. They've got a losing
We should
record
also
against
keep in mind that Club America didn't even participate in last year's competition. Tigres, of course, bowing out to Monterrey in what was just a terrific Clásico in last year's final. But, you know, if I'm going to have to side with anybody right now, surprisingly, it's going to be with Devin. I would have to imagine that Tigres, they do look a little bit better in terms of form, but if you get Azteca rocking, I mean, all bets are off.
There's still time. There's still time.
There's still a lot of time. And let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about underdogs. Everybody loves a great underdog story. I mean, you think about Devin Kerr, one of the most unlikely of people to play professional soccer. If you saw these kids growing up, pictures of him are just shocking. Maybe we'll have that in the next segment. But underdogs, Lori, I'll go to you first. Who's going to make some noise this year in this tournament that we might not think would?
Saprissa for me. I think that again, another team that has experience. Haven't performed their best as of late, but I think they could make a good run.
Devin, how do we feel about Saprissa being the favorite underdog, if that makes sense, given the fact that they have been a little bit suspect on set pieces and they're heading into a CONCACAF League final without one of their outside backs, a position they're not necessarily deep in?
Another outside back that's struggling a little bit. Like Lori's looking for that Pura Vida, and I respect that down in Costa Rica, but Saprissa won't get it done. It'll be Cruz Azul. Cruz Azul will be the team that'll jump in and go after this because of their start. And everybody's going to look at me and go, you're crazy. Look at that mid-table, blah, blah, blah. But look at the teams that they've been able to challenge against. Leon, they beat Lori's favorite, Club America. And oh, by the way, they've got a win and a draw against Tigres. What did Tigres do again? I'm sorry. Can we clarify? Tigres, runners-up 3 out of the last 4 years. Oh, that's right. My apologies.
Do you get something for coming in second place besides that little medal that they give you afterwards?
I mean, you get to sit next to me, Lori, so that works.
That's third place. That's, there's bronze medal, something along those lines. But one more question for the two of you, just quickly. Is there anybody else outside of Tigres and Club America that you think might be able to challenge for the title, just off the top of your head?
I go with Atlanta United. I mean, we just talked about how difficult it is for MLS teams, but at the same time, with their South American flair that they have, they are starting to come, or they did start to come into their own towards the latter part of that MLS season. And I think with the understanding of what it takes to play in this tournament, and again, with the South American flair that they have, they'll have the gamesmanship, the understanding of what it takes to play in Azteca, to play against some of these club teams that have historically won this tournament.
Mr. Kerr?
I respect that opinion. However, let's have a little bit more fun with that. And here's why. I'll go LAFC. I think it's real easy to look at the Mexican squads and go, they're going to win, like we talked about, Tigres or whether it's Lori's Club America. But how LAFC? They've pretty much done everything. No, they haven't hit the pinnacle of their domestic league, but they've gotten right there. They've tasted success almost to the point that it hurts. And now you have Bob Bradley, who built a great team to start with his expansion squad just a few short years ago. Atlanta United has that argument as well. Yes, they have more trophies, but the eye test is what gets this for me. So now you have an opportunity in the offseason. They go get some more weapons. They take that South American flair Lori is talking about, and they turn it into a beautiful little salsa. They wander into these South American stadiums, and they get some quality results. They can make a run at it.
Well, LAFC, still babies. Still babies.
The
Lori.
only thing I'll add to that is they have to add some depth to their team, because otherwise, that's what we saw at the end of the year. They just, especially in the defense, not enough depth. They couldn't get it done, even with how good they played throughout the season. So in terms of playing in the CONCACAF Champions League, they've got to add depth at least to that back line to be able to win this tournament.
But Lori, thank you so much for coming on the show. We loved having you. Devin, of course, he was mediocre, but we won't go here, we won't go there. We are going to go, however. We want to make sure that you're going to tune in 10 o'clock Eastern Time, November 26th, Tuesday, CONCACAF League leg final number 2, and that is going to be terrific. Saprissa with a 1-0 lead over Motagua as it heads back to Tegucigalpa. Thank you so much for tuning in.